All right, is it time? I guess so.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Visualforce in Lightning. We have a lot of really cool live coding demonstrations for you here today, as well as some neat tips and tricks that will really make your Visualforce pages shine in Lightning.
Yeah, thank you for coming out.
Yeah, start off, I'm Xander Dale.
And I'm Mike Sen, and we are Visualforce platform developers. And so we create the Visualforce components and APIs that are part of the platform. And we work out of the Durham, North Carolina office. We're 3,000 miles away from here, and we get so deep in the platform code that we're very excited to come and surface for a couple of minutes and talk to you guys, and also to get your feedback on the platform. Before we begin, we're going to talk about some cool stuff today, but not all of the cool stuff we're going to talk about is available. So wait for it to become available before you make your purchasing decisions.
All right, let's get to the agenda. So first, we have a simple hands-on example of how easy it is to create Visualforce pages that show up in Classic and Lightning just as easily.
And then we're going to demonstrate a new metrics feature that's going to help you prioritize your Lightning migration story, or just to get more metrics about your organization.
And finally, we have an advanced demonstration where we actually capture Lightning events within Visualforce.
Yeah. Okay, so the first demo that we're going to give here is a basic Visualforce demo, and we're just going to show you how easy it is to start from scratch and create a basic Visualforce app.
All right, so consider the following scenario. Our head of sales comes to us and they say, we really want to drive social media engagement in our company. And so we start looking around, we're like, how can we do this? So we go to dev.twitter.com, we're looking through their APIs, and we find that they have a method that we can show the last tweet a user sent. And we're like, how can we integrate this into our org? So what we decide to do is, if we can make it so that every contact in our org had a Twitter handle and they also displayed the last tweet that they sent, then we could really help our head of sales meet this objective.
Yeah, so let's work out a game plan for this app. First, we're going to create a custom field on the contact object. Then we're going to go to dev.twitter.com and take a little code snippet that they've had, and we're going to put that in a brand new Visualforce page. Then we're going to take that Visualforce page and expose it in the contact standard layout. All right, so the first thing we do is we make a new custom field in contact, and this should be pretty familiar. We go to the setup tree, we search for contact and click fields. Down at the bottom of the page, click new custom field to make this Twitter handle field. And then we give it an API name. In our case, it's going to be Twitter_handle__C. All right, so that was the first step. And now we're going to take a Twitter code snippet and incorporate it into a new Visualforce page. All right, let's go into some code. And any of the code that I write here today, we're going to make available to you afterwards in a repository, so we'll send you the link there. So I've created a new Visualforce page here, and it's called Twitter Latest Tweet. All I did was I opened up the developer console, and I click File, New, Visualforce page. And so I'll point out that this Visualforce page, I've given it the standard controller equals contact. And so that'll be a clue that this Visualforce page is going to be used in a contact, for a contact object. And so I need to go to twitter.com and copy the code example here, but I'm going to do it from my notepad because, who knows when Twitter is going to go down.
Right in the middle of those important presentations, no doubt.
Right. So let me explain this code example. I copied this from twitter.com, and what it is it's an A tag or a link tag, and it's an empty. All the text is tweets by @handle, but then Twitter also loads this JavaScript from platform.twitter.com, which when the page loads goes in and fills in this A tag.
All right, so now we need to convert this so we can use this as a Visualforce page. So what we want to do is we want to take this handle here and we want to put the custom Twitter handle that we created. So what we're going to do is the brace bang syntax, and we're going to say contact.Twitter_handle__C. to reference the custom field that we created just before.
Right.
And then we'll just take that, we'll copy it here down below, and boom, that's all there is to it.
Yeah, and so now we've got a brand new Visualforce page with code that we didn't really have to write ourselves. We just put it in the page, and then we've modified it to load data from the Salesforce platform from that Twitter handle custom field that we created. Okay, so now I'll show you how to take this page and put it in a standard layout. So as an admin, I can go to a contact page, a contact record page. And when I created that custom field, it added the Twitter handle right here. And so I filled in the data for this particular contact. His Twitter handle is @ParkerHarris. And so I'm going to click on Edit Layout, and that'll take me to the Edit Layout screen.
Yep. And then we just go here on the left, we scroll down, look for Visualforce pages, then we select Twitter latest tweet. And then in the larger page, we scroll down to the section we want to put it in on the page, and then we just drag and drop it right there below the Twitter handle.
Right. So then I click Save, and that'll take me back to that contact that we were looking at. And here we go, Parker Harris, his Twitter handle, and then the last tweet from Parker Harris. And so we didn't have to write any code there at all, but we've added a brand new Visualforce app, and we've put it in as part of a standard layout. And you can't do that without Visualforce.
Wow, that's pretty nice, but I thought this was supposed to be about Lightning, Mike.
Well, that's what's great about standard layouts, is that you configure it once, and it works in Classic. And then if we go and switch to Lightning, it'll work in Lightning also. So I'll go to Lightning, and then if I go to that same contact, and then I refresh the page, hold on, then there we go. We've got the Twitter handle, Parker Harris, and then that same tweet that we were just looking at a second ago in this Visualforce page down here. Yeah, so with Visualforce, you can write it once, and it'll be used in Classic and in Lightning, and it appears, exactly the same way. But sometimes you want to change the way that it looks just a little bit.
Yeah, one of the interesting things you ask yourself is, you created this Visualforce page, and is it possible to tell from the Visualforce page's perspective when you're being shown in Lightning versus when you're being shown in Classic, or can you even tell when it's in mobile? Yeah, and so we have a global variable called $user.UIThemeDisplayed that you can reference in your Visualforce markup. And so this is a global variable that takes a couple of different values. And so say you want to include a different set of style sheets for Classic versus Lightning, or you want to show different fields, or you can hide or show whole components on the page. And so here in this example, I'm using Apex output panel and the rendered attribute. And so in the first block of code, I'm setting $user.UIThemeDisplayed equals theme3. And now theme3 bizarrely means Classic. And so that first output panel will render when my user is in Classic, and they'll get the Classic style sheets. And then the second output panel, I'm comparing UIThemeDisplayed to theme 4D, and so that's Lightning at a desktop size. And so they'll get a set of style sheets that I've called Lightning when they're in Lightning. There's also a theme 4T for Lightning at a mobile size, which is the Salesforce One app or the mobile browser. All right, so as you can see, writing a single Visualforce page was an easy task, but I think you probably have a much larger task at hand. Can I see hands for how many people here have at least one Visualforce page in your org?
That's everybody.
Right. How many people have at least 10 Visualforce pages? All right, how many have at least 100 Visualforce pages? What about 400? 1,000? All right, we lost you at 1,000. Well, as you can see, it's lots of Visualforce pages, and we realized that we need a way to allow you to figure out which Visualforce pages you should focus on migrating first, which ones are the most important to your user. And so what we've done is we've created a new access metric called Visualforce Access Metric. And what this does is it keeps track of how many page hits your Visualforce page has received on a given day. Yeah,
so this is a new metrics entity that we added just recently in the summer release. And so what this entity does is every day Salesforce goes and looks back at our logs to find out how many times your Visualforce pages were used in that last day. And we insert a record so that you can query that and see how often your organization is used. And so you don't have to fill in this table. This is a table that we fill in every day, and we're keeping track of how often the pages are viewed in the last 90 days. So we don't have a front end for this feature yet, but you can query this using SOQL or from the workbench, like in this screenshot that we have here. So let me give you a couple SOQL queries that you can use to query this entity.
Yeah, so this first one here is just selecting all of the pages by their name in the last 90 days and showing you which specific pages on which specific days had the highest count. Mm-hmm. So you could say on the 30th, we had 30 hits to Twitter latest tweet.
Right. Yeah, and then in the second query here, we're using a group by statement in SOQL, which will group all of the data in the table to see which pages were the most popular over the last 90 days, which is the entire table. And you can also order by to see the most popular page, or maybe even see the least popular page, see which pages were never viewed at all, and then maybe you can start removing from your org if you want to decrease the amount of code that you're maintaining.
We should probably note here that these metrics only exist for a 90-day period of time before they become recycled.
Yeah, and in an upcoming release, we're working to incorporate the Visualforce access metrics in the Lightning readiness report, so that when you generate a Lightning readiness report, you'll have the Visualforce access metrics and also some static analysis that we're starting to do.
And make it a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
All right, so now we have a much more advanced demonstration, so get ready to buckle your seatbelts here.
Yeah.
So what we did was we used the 90-day metrics that we just showed you, and we took a look at our own org to see what was the most popular page that we had. And so we have created this Visualforce page in the past. And what this page does is it shows a user's favorite tweets.
Don't we love Twitter?
They can save them. Oh, it's fantastic. And so we were thinking, okay, we want to migrate this page to Lightning. But maybe we could add some additional functionality along the way.
Yeah, we had the idea that we could add a navigation bar to the top of this app with maybe a set of radio buttons so that when the user clicks on a radio button, it filters and only displays the tweets that he or she is interested in. So we went to lightningdesignsystem.com and we found a pre-designed set of Lightning components, this radio button group. And so what we're going to do is we're going to create a radio button group, and each button in this navigation bar is going to be able to talk to a Visualforce page and communicate which radio button is selected, and it'll hide or show the Twitter feeds in our Visualforce page.
All right, so in order to do that, we need to come up with a game plan. So what we're going to do is we're going to write some code that will send the Lightning events to the Visualforce page. Then we're going to write some code in the Visualforce page that will capture that Lightning event and filter the Twitter feeds. And finally, what we'll do is we'll double check to make sure our Visualforce page works great in Lightning.
Yes, let's go to it. So I have, it's over here. So I have a custom Lightning component that I've already written, and I'm not going to explain everything in here, but this field set here is that radio button group that I was talking about. And this is just code that we've copied from lightningdesignsystem.com, where they explained how to create the radio button groups and the CSS classes and everything that I needed to add in order to render the radio buttons with that Lightning look and feel. And so this is a custom Lightning component here called radio button. And each one of these radio buttons, when they're clicked on, it'll fire a change event. And so I've marked that this change event is going to be handled by my component controller within the onChange method. And so then down below the radio buttons, I'm going to include my Visualforce page. And inside of Lightning, Visualforce is always rendered inside of an iframe. And so I'm including an iframe here. And I want to point out that I'm marking the source for the Visualforce page. I'm giving it the Visualforce host name or domain name. And so you'll have to figure out the Visualforce domain name for your organization. and then I've marked it /apex/ the Visualforce page name. And so that's how you navigate to a Visualforce page, is /apex/ your page name. And I'm also giving this iframe an aura ID. And so this is important in Lightning because we want to be able to find this iframe in our Lightning component controller. And so you need to mark it with an aura:ID in order to be able to find the iframe.
All right, let's take a look at the controller here. And so like Mike mentioned just a minute ago, when you click on one of the radio buttons, it's going to fire an event called onChange, and that's what we're capturing right here. So the controller in Aura is just the JavaScript, basically, for this component. Mm-hmm. And so what happens is when we get this onChange event, it's going to give us the component that fired it, the event, and a helper. So what we're going to do is we want to get the name of the Twitter feed that we want to filter, so that's the first thing we have here. Then we want to construct this message that we want to send down into the iframe. And so we give it a name and a type. Now a type is going to be important in a minute because we need to filter for it. And finally we have a VF origin, which I will discuss in just a minute, but it's basically just the domain name of the Visualforce page. Mm-hmm. Classic developer, looks like we left us a to-do here. So we need to send this message down into the Visualforce iframe. And so in order to do that, we need to find the iframe. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do a component.find using that aura ID that we mentioned just a second ago. Then from there, we want to get the element from that. And finally, we want to get the contact window, or the content window. And so basically what this is the iframe. And so using that, we can send a message down into the Visualforce page. So the next step is we're going to do a window.postMessage. So I don't know if you guys have heard about postMessage before, but this is a standard way of sending messages down into an iframe. This is not something that's Salesforce specific. This is something that's supported across all browsers. So you can look it up in MDN and get more information about exactly how this works. And so what we give the post message is a message and the origin that we created just before. And so the purpose of the origin, we just want to make sure that that iframe that we're sending to is in the correct domain location. Otherwise, we could leak information if the iframe navigated away from that.
Yeah, so this is some pretty complex stuff, so let me go over it again. We've got all these radio buttons at the top of our Lightning app, and those radio buttons are going to fire a change event, which will be handled by this controller code right here. And here's that change event that gets fired. We're going to extract the name from that event, because that's what those radio buttons will fire. We'll construct a message, and then we'll send that message onto our Visualforce page using, the iframe.postMessage. And so we'll be posting that message, and we'll also be validating that the Visualforce origin is what we expect and what we've configured for our component.
All right. So now let's go to the Visualforce page and see what we can do to capture that event that we just sent down. All right, excellent. Another to-do here. Yeah. And so all we have to do here is add an event listener to listen for that message that we're sending down. And this is going to be listening for an event of type message. Now that's the standard type that's sent down via post message, is an event of type message. Then we're going to add a callback function here. And this is what's going to be called whenever we receive that event. All right, excellent. So now that we're in here, the first thing we want to do is we want to extract the message that we sent down. And that's just located in event.data.
Yeah, and you'll note that we're naming this variable message because this is going to be the same message variable that we've posted to the Visualforce frame. And so the message that gets received by our Visualforce page is going to have a name and a type.
Yep. All right, the next thing we want to do is we want to filter out other post messages that aren't our message. Because post message can be used all across the system. We want to make sure we're just getting ours. And so what we're going to do is we're going to look at the message type, and we want to make sure if it's not equal to our message type, we just want to return out, we'll let someone else handle that event.
Right. We're giving this message type to TV shows only. And so that's what we're going to look for in our Visualforce page.
All right. Now at the last step, we just need to filter. We just need to filter for the feeds that we're interested in. And so the message.name has the name of the Twitter feed that we're interested in. And so we have this function we already created called filter all feeds, and we just pass it the name of the feed that we're interested in. And there's nothing special about filter all feeds. It's just turning on some CSS. So it's just toggling some things on the page to turn the feed on and off visually.
Yeah, so I'll go over this again. So we've been sending the message from Lightning, but in our Visualforce page, we need to be able to receive the message. And so when the page loads, we call this window.addEventListener function. And so this is called when the page loads, and it sets up a callback that's going to happen anytime this page receives a message. So we're going to be receiving our event here, and we do a little bit of validation on the message just to make sure that it's the same type that we were expecting in our Lightning component. And then we call whatever JavaScript we need to in order to handle the message. In our case, that's going to be hiding and showing Twitter feeds.
All right. Well, now let's go take a look and see what this looks like in action.
All right. So we've already configured that Lightning component to be a Lightning action. And so it appears on our contact quick action bar up here. And so I click this button, and it'll go to our Twitter feeds app. And so here's that app that we were showing you before. But now we have a custom Lightning component up here in the bar. And when we click on individual radio buttons, it'll hide and show the Twitter feeds that we're interested in. All right, so this is the really powerful part here is that we're constructing data in our Lightning component, and then we're passing that data into our Visualforce page. And then we can do anything we want with that data, using standard Visualforce components. We could call server-side methods, we could render components, or anything that we need to do. And in fact, the technique that we demonstrated today could also be used to send data back up into Lightning, except it would be the other way around. In your Visualforce page, you would say parent.postMessage, and then in your Lightning component, you need to subscribe to messages using that iframe.addEventListener. And so it's the same technique to pass data back up to Lightning. You just have to call the methods in the other order.
All right, let's just go back to contact there.
Okay, click back to contact.
Oh, what happened there?
It looks like Lightning is inside of Lightning, which can't be right.
So what seems like we've hit a common pitfall here. It looks like that button that we clicked isn't entirely ready for prime time in Lightning.
Yeah.
So let's go back and look at the code here and see if we can figure out what that button's doing or that it shouldn't be doing.
Yeah, so that button that we had in the page called back to contact, it calls a JavaScript function by the same name, back to contact. So I'll look at that function. And what this is doing is it's setting window.location. And so yeah, this is the pitfall of Visualforce inside of Lightning, is that you're inside of an iframe when you render Visualforce inside of Lightning. And so if you want to do navigation inside of an iframe, it's only going to navigate that part of the page that you're controlling, that iframe. But if you want to navigate the entire browser window, you need to post a message up to the parent page and then handle navigation there. And so the way to do that in Visualforce is to use our Visualforce API. We're calling it sforce.1.navigateToURL. And so what this does is it goes over that technique that I was talking about earlier, where it'll post a message up to Lightning, and then Lightning will handle the navigation for you to the URL that you're wanting for. And so sforce.1 also has other methods available. We don't just have navigate to URL. You could navigate to a specific record or a specific entity, or you could navigate to a list or other Salesforce objects.
Excellent. Let's retest it here now that we fixed it.
Yeah. Reload the app, and then if I click the back to contact button, it takes me right back to that contact that we were looking at using navigate to URL.
All right, fantastic.
Great. All right.
All right.
Yeah, so that was a pretty complicated event flow. So let me go over this waterfall again just to make sure we got the message. in order to initiate this action, the user is going to click a lightning button, and that was that radio button, and that lightning button will fire a lightning event. It'll fire a lightning event that we're going to handle in our lightning component controller. And then our lightning component controller is going to catch that lightning event, repackage it into a message, and then it's going to send that message to the Visualforce page inside of an iframe via a post message. And then Visualforce inside of the iframe is going to handle that message and do whatever it needs to do. It could call an action function. It could hide or show elements on the page. It could fill in fields, anything that needs to happen there. Oh. Click right there.
Whew, we covered a lot of material here today. All right, yeah, so we showed you how quickly and easily you can create new Visualforce pages and expose them in Classic and in Lightning.
Yeah, and then we showed you how you can use UI theme displayed to modify the way that your Visualforce pages look in Classic or in Lightning, maybe hiding or showing some fields or entire components on the page.
Yeah, then we showed you how you can use Sockle to find out exactly how popular your Visualforce pages are.
Mm-hmm. And then we had that kind of complicated event passing demo where you can write a custom Lightning component and then pass client-side data into your Visualforce page. All right, so any of the code that we wrote here today, we're going to upload to GitHub into that repository right there. That's my name, mpsen. And there were also a couple of resources that were very valuable in constructing the session today. One particular Salesforce developers blog post, so please go read that. And also, I love the Visualforce and Lightning Experience Trailhead module. It's very helpful.
All right, yeah, it looks like we have some time for some Q&A. I don't know if, can we use this microphone?
Yeah, so if anyone has any questions about what we talked about today or upcoming stuff on the Visualforce platform.
Yeah, there we go.
Would Locker Service have caught the window.location and the component? I think it's illegal, or it's like...
Yeah, so
Service?
Locker Service would catch that if we were writing a Lightning component, but Locker Service doesn't run inside of the Visualforce iframe, so you're able to execute that inside of the iframe, which is why you have to, have this workaround of calling sforce.1.
Did you do this so that the Visualforce page that you had presumably already written doesn't need to be redone into a component? Or is there some situation where you say, I need to write this in Visualforce, but I want it to work inside a component?
I think that first example that we showed where we were just copying code from Twitter in order to create a new Visualforce page, I think that you would not be able to copy that code into a brand new Lightning component. And so that has to go into a Visualforce page because it's loading that JavaScript from twitter.com. And so if you have to do something like that where you're loading external JavaScript from a different domain name, then Visualforce is the right solution there.
Versus using the container, maybe that's not GA yet, the component.
Yeah. Once Lightning Container goes GA, then that would be a good solution too, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
All right.
I have two questions.
Sure.
One is when I convert my Classic to Lightning, and the first example which you have shown is Twitter component, Visualforce component.
Yeah.
If I migrate it, the system automatically converts my Visualforce to iframe when it converts to Lightning?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, if you have configured in your org, Visualforce tabs or Visualforce as part of a standard layout, then you should be able to just configure it once, and it'll be inside of an iframe automatically once you go into Lightning.
Okay, so if my page is reacting to the contents of my details page in Classic, do I need to make the necessary changes like this event handler which you have created for Lightning?
Yeah,
okay.
you will have to make a little bit of JavaScript changes in order to handle events and pass data like that. Yeah.
And second question is about that Visualforce assess metric
Yeah,
object. Can I do reporting on that, or it's only queryable? I can only do SOQL, or can I do a report on that object?
No, I don't think it's reportable, no. But yeah, you can do SOQL on it.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
All right. Well, thanks a lot for coming, guys.
All right, thank you.